Hi, I'm Rick Boiardi. Welcome back to Mind Shifting Academy, where a new mindset gets you new results. Today's video blog is titled 6 Steps to Choosing Happiness in Today's World. Stand by and we'll talk about it. Choosing happiness in today's world is a qualifier. You have to be awake in order to do this. There really is not any leeway anymore where you could just go about your daily life, shut your mind off to the bigger picture and be happy. It's very hard to be unaware of what's going on in the world and the magnitude and the importance of so many issues that are global and affect our species. So I'm here talking about choosing happiness, but I'm also qualifying that by saying you've got to be awake. You've got to know what's going on, and then could choose happiness, which will also be part of the solution to what's going on in the world today. So you can make yourself happy, those around you, but also be a contributor to global harmony and cooperation. If you're just going to do your job, eat some food, watch some Netflix, go to bed, and not pay attention, you might be able to get away with that for an amount of time, but the way things are going, the wolf's at everybody's door, not just at the house of the three little pigs. The wolf is everywhere. So if we are gonna live beyond what this world is presenting us now, if we're gonna change things to something that is more agreeable for the human species, and if we're going to feel like we can breathe, be present, and do something meaningful, we do need to choose to understand that happiness is still a choice, despite everything I just said. So what is actually going on? In my opinion, and this is from a lifetime of reading ancient documents, people who are visionaries, seers, servant leaders, spiritual influencers, ancient commentators, you name it. I've been looking at it and I've been drawn to it my whole life. I do think this time is a true soul evolutionary battle between the forces of evil and the forces of light. And I think at one time the forces of light controlled this planet. And I mean, this is a whole other topic, and I'll do another video on it. But I think that there was a time where we had a civilization that was so far advanced and so much more based on the people in it than, let's say, profit and power. I do think that civilization perished, and the one we're in now are run by evil ones. You've probably heard the term prison planet. I do think that is real. And how the hell do you choose happiness following a statement like that? Well, we're here, we're on Earth, and part of this battle has been to suppress our inner divinity and our creationary abilities. And we are all, 8 billion of us, we're all stronger and more divine than we realize. And I believe that the world, many of the institutions, the shot callers, that run this thing have been consciously suppressing these things for thousands of years. And you get these privately owned central banks out there that all these countries are in debt to, and the politicians are there as puppets for those guys. And their job is to make things go wrong so that the people who own the companies profit, and we're kept in a certain vibratory state. Again, this is another subject, but I do believe that the world actually boils down to energy, and when we suffer on this planet, we're feeding energy that other entities thrive on. Okay? Now, I'm going beyond like the day-to-day physical life that we live with these statements I'm making, but personally, I don't think you can turn a blind eye to these things. I think we're all obligated at this point to choose happiness, and I'll break this down a little further. How do you do it? How do you choose happiness when you have a worldview such as I just described? Well, I think the first thing, again, and I've said this a few times already, is you got to understand the game. I know, like, when I was younger and, coming out of college and entering the corporate work world, I used to look at things and say, how the hell do we do the stuff we do? It seems insane. We go to work and we be wearing these corporate clothes with these ties choking us, and out there in traffic, miles and miles deep, and commutes over an hour, and just taxes and just all of the things that we adjust the camera here that we were required to do in order to be successful in the world that we were in. And look, I'm not saying that it's wrong to work hard and be productive and create revenue and create concepts and services and products. That's part of our system. So and tons of that stuff also benefits the world. I mean, you could think of anything like going to a good movie, or something as mundane as life insurance, and then your spouse dies and you've got kids to support, and it takes care of you. So I'm not saying that it's all the services and products are inherently evil, but I do think that the controllers of this system have suppressed so many things to keep us in a negative state in order to for them to achieve their goals, that we have all agreed to live a certain way, and we put our best spin on it, and we do our best to be good citizens and givers and lovers and things like that, and so it's that kind of thing that when you're choosing that, when you're awake and have that knowledge that you are a brave soul, and when you choose happiness, you are literally, and again, this is more on the quantum side, choosing a vibratory state that is higher. And if you understand like the unconscious mind like I do, which is 95% of what we do is governed by the unconscious mind, you will understand and you will see immediately that choosing happiness, choosing a higher vibration, makes your life better and for those around you. I'm not saying you don't have to be brave. You have to be brave, especially knowing what's going on. So that's step number one. And I in the beginning of this video, I can't remember if I said it, but it's 6 steps to choosing happiness. So I wanted to just clarify that these are 6 that I thought of today. And that's number one. Just understand the game. Number two, understand the components of your life. That's going to help. If you just wander through your days where everything's a mishmash of you just being reactionary to all the demands and your emotions and your fears and your addictions and also the things you love, you're just going to be spinning around like the Tasmanian devil. And if you remember the Tasmanian devil from the old cartoons back in the day. But these areas, and I'll say the first one, you know, for you people who are primarily artists out there, and whatever side of the brain governs that, you know, it's tough to hear that there's an aspect of your life of business and finance, and there is. Look, every single government, you know, owes these central banks. They've borrowed from them. They tax us to pay it back. They put the burden of their choices on us. You know, they fund all this stuff through bonds. They're obligated to pay interest on it, municipal bonds, things like that. So, you know, whether or not you like it, and by the way, I am not, I'm in favor of services and products to the world. And this is another video, and I've done other videos on this, but I am more into a system that is not monetary based, so more of a service based economy. But again, I could get into that on a different video. My point here is that I favor another type of human society that is above and evolved beyond this one. So I'm not saying this one is shit and it's not worth it, but it's a step we had to go through, and we are, I believe, at the end stages of predatory capitalism. And you know, here we are, because, you know, maybe in World War II or World War I, conflicts could still be somewhat regional, like even World War II is Europe, and then, you know, yes, okay, World War, but back then they didn't have the ability to take it all down at once. Maybe at the end of World War II and they developed nukes, but it's a different thing now, like global communication, internet, blah, 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 satellites, global economies, global indexes for the stock markets. What happens in, like, say today, Cambodia and Thailand, right? It looks like they're going to war, and, you know, that affects their economy. Look at Thailand's like a huge tourist destination, and people aren't going to go there. That's going to affect things. It's going to affect you. You know, if you're invested in the stock market and you're in international funds, let's say. So anyway, I'm just saying here, you can't be totally blind. You've got to organize your finances, understand obligations of time, for example, compound interest. If you're using debt for something, make sure you're using it as an investment, not just consumer debt, like buying a bunch of cars at like a ridiculously high price, and all they do is you're still driving from point A to point B, or a house too big for you and you're a house slave. Okay, so, you know, it doesn't take much. You can buy a business calculator, and the book they give you might take you a few days to read, but it'll tell you everything you need to know about how compound interest and finance works. So that way, when you're signing these agreements, you can actually understand the terminology of what you're committing to. And then again, you know, business, you know, a lot of people, like, they look at like BlackRock people and they say, F those guys, they're our enemies. And, you know, in some ways, they are part of that globalist cabal that's doing their best to control everything. But also at the same time, I mean, just look around you, how many things, good things come out of business, and you know, the creation of products and services by good people. I mean, like something like FedEx, you know, it's just amazing that, you know, like you can get these things delivered to you from around the world, and you can use it for whatever you use it with. But anyway, that's partner number 2. The other one is health. This is huge. You know, I'm a fitness coach as well. Get those hormones, get those endorphins going, get the blood circulating, heart pumping, nervous system recruiting muscles, bone density, cardiorespiratory increases, flexibility, strength, endurance, power. All of these things come out of just giving a part of your day, and it literally doesn't have to be every day, but you know, if you can get 3 good sessions in a week at least, your state of mind's going to be very different. And again, your vibratory level is going to be higher. You're going to attract like vibrations. It is worth it. And I know a lot of people, you know, they grew up watching TV or, sorry, just turning around here. I got an appointment. You know, eating comfort food and, you know, not really, like they didn't play sports as a kid or things like that. So, you know, maybe like there's an aversion to health and fitness. You think it's like, oh, that's what the jocks used to do, you know? But look at, your body is a friggin' miracle. There goes my phone again. Designed by a power of creation that's beyond comprehension. But you have that gift, and you're kind of obligated to do something with it. And look, when you look better and feel better, better things happen to you. Now, look, shit happens. I was at the peak of my game the beginning of May, and I tore my Achilles. So accidents do happen, but I'm still working out. I have managed to feel great despite the setback, just because of that understanding and commitment. So that's health. Another thing a lot of people do, but a lot of people don't, is have a passion project. Right now, my coaching for personal development, global development, and fitness training is a passion. Understanding this world and how to go about in this world is that's my passion. It's been my passion my whole life. I'm lucky. I mean, it took me a while to figure out what to do with it, but the message I was getting as far back as I can remember as a toddler, this was always going to be my path. Now, you may not express your passion full time, which is, you know, people see that as like the holy grail of life, but you know, there's different seasons in your life, and things may become that at some time where they're not today. But what you can do is set aside a certain amount of time per day. Even if you don't know what it is, just start looking at it, start playing around with ideas, start doing small things. Take the small steps. When you take the small steps with bravery and through the unknown, despite your fears, the higher powers recognize that, and they'll put things in your path that seem impossible to the logical mind, but they will happen. It's happened to me. You know, I have this business, but hey, look, I have a corporate career as well, and I work hard at it. I put in the time. I go to the gym. So I'm preaching everything I'm suggesting to you. And, you know, someday when I retire, I'll do this full time. So, you know, for those of you out there, it could be anything. You could, like, I know this woman totally changed what she was doing from being a singer, a musician, into art. And, you know, something she loved to do, and just kept at it. And now she's, you developing an international following for her art. I actually, if I was in my house, I would show you. I have one of her paintings in my house that was actually a gift. That's just an example. There's so many things that you can do. So step 2, understand the components of your life. A, B, and C, business and finance, health, passion project. Number 3, choose to be happy now, not in the future. Okay? So many of us, especially Americans, we're goal setters. Now, I'm not trying to say other people in other countries aren't, but I've lived here most of my life, and the message has always been, make it happen. Have those goals. Be everything you can be. Be successful. Drive. And I know, look, like over in Tokyo, those people work their asses off, and don't turn this into like I'm saying one. I'm just pointing, there are cultures that are really driven, and then, like Italy, where my family's from, more laid back. The culture's more laid back. So anyway, the point I wanted to make is people will make this big goal. It could be to get a degree in something, or to have a job in a certain amount of time, or a certain physical result like body composition, height and weight, BMI, whatever. And they go, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to bust my ass and make it happen. And then they are like trying to find an analogy, like Sisyphus pushing the rock up the hill, and every time something goes bad, the rock rolls down the hill, and you start pushing again. You're just not friggin' happy. I want you to be happy. You want you to be happy, because when you're happy now, you're enjoying the journey. You could have this big, extreme, amazing plan, and you step, and then something happens traumatically, and you never do that particular goal, and you're like, well, what the hell? Like I've been grinding for 4 years, and I haven't been happy. Be happy now. Again, get in that vibratory state. Let the unseen powers of the unconscious mind do their work. Remember, unconscious mind is very literal. As a side note, be very aware of the words you say, internally or externally. They have power. Be specific. Don't generalize. The unconscious mind snaps to attention when you tell it something. So, for example, you say, I want to be a successful fitness coach. Your unconscious mind goes, okay, I'm always going to keep you wanting to be a fitness coach, because those are the words you use. Versus, I am a fitness coach. You can literally tell your unconscious mind has no concept of linear time. You could say, unconscious mind, it's now 2028. I'm a successful fitness coach, earning $115,000 per year, loving what I do, and an asset to my community, right? Unconscious mind goes, cool. And then maybe it drops a person in your path who's, hey, guess what? I'm expanding my business. You're a fitness coach. How would you like to come and teach in my studio? Okay, there you go. So that is number 3. Number 4, gratitude. Completely underutilized, although there's more talk about it these days. Be grateful. Choose gratitude. When you feel crappy, I do this all the time when I'm getting caught up in the grind. I literally, I'll be in my car right now, and I'll say I'm grateful for all these green trees, and I'm grateful for this amazing blue sky. I'm grateful for this perfect road and this amazing vehicle somebody created. And I'm grateful for the beautiful temperature and the fresh air, and the fact that despite my injury, I'm still mobile and I can go see my granddaughters. I'm grateful for the food we're going to share. And I'm grateful for going home and my cat's waiting for me. I mean, once you start doing that, the list is endless and you'll feel like you're floating above the ground. Trust me on that, okay? Number 5, observe yourself from a distance. This is a psychological, unconscious mind understanding. How many times have you seen a vision of yourself doing something, or you think about yourself doing something? So there's a version of you observing yourself, okay? So there's the higher version and there's the day-to-day version, the landlocked version. And when you can kind of step away from yourself and observe yourself like a silent and neutral observer. Whenever I have just this horrible thought will come into my mind, or this emotion or a fear or an anxiety, I'll literally, like for me, I see it right here. It's like just around my heart and stomach. It's where I feel things. It's where I hear my inner voice. And I literally will see the image of it, and I'll just look at it silently, neutrally. I won't judge it. I'll just watch it. And then I will consciously create. Let me back up. I'll break the programming that fear or anxiety has on me. And I will choose to create a new self-identity. I will reprogram, and I'll choose an emotional state. The gift of that is it releases the bond or the programming that it has on you. And most of your programming, most of your decisions go back to when you were from birth to age 8. And you just respond. 95% of your responses unconsciously to those earlier decisions. But now I just gave you the keys to the kingdom. You can start silently and neutrally observing these things from a distance, and you'll feel it, and then it'll start to dissipate a little, and you just, oh, okay, it doesn't own me anymore. Well, this is what I want to be. I use it in business, I use it in coaching, I use it in my personal life. It works. Okay, number 6, fill in the gaps. Fitness, nutrition, and sleep. I know when we were younger, in our 20s, we'd be out there all night doing what we do and having a great time. But, you know, back then you're in your 20s, you could wake up the next day, go to work or do whatever, go to the gym, and somehow you would just be okay the next day, you know? Great. But, you know, in the adult world, beyond that, you got to take care. You know, it's just like your lawn and your house. If you don't weed it, if you don't mow it, if you don't fertilize it, growth control, stuff like that, it's going to start to get ugly and its value is going to go down. It's the same thing with you, you know. Take care of that human garden. Fitness, nutrition, sleep. It's not boring. We've just talked about so many topics that should make you realize that, hell, you're in the story of a lifetime. Literally, the future of the world is in our hands right now. And I guess my final point on that will be, yeah, there is, you know, this World Economic Forum, BlackRock, central banks, collusion, you know, they try to lock us down for a couple of years and they fail, they get caught, you know, we're on to them. So what percentage are these people of the human race? Everyone says the 1%ers. I don't even think it's that. And it doesn't take 7.9 billion people to be in lockstep with everything I'm saying here. It just is a critical number that in the energy of our world, our collective energy steps up. It's like that story of the monkeys on the island that learned how to like wash the sweet potatoes or something like that. Hell, I don't remember the exact story, but the point is it was just enough monkeys figured it out. Next thing you know, all these monkeys on the other islands are doing the same thing. Like somehow in the monkey collective, the message went out there and they evolved. So, and now, think of, we are divine souls walking around in meat suits, physical matter for a purpose. But again, it's an amazing story. Like, how can it be boring? People watch movies like Star Wars, Rebel Alliance, versus Darth and his bad boys, and everyone's like, oh my God, what a story. We're living in that right now. So, never a dull moment. Okay, with that said, I'm going to let you guys go, and we will talk soon. Okay, so thanks for watching the video. Hope it helps. And if you could subscribe, like the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel. That'll help us reach more people, help us change the world. Again, this channel is dedicated to your personal development and also global transformation. So we're looking to improve our world. If you want a coaching session, go to mindshiftingacademy.com. You can sign up for a free discovery session if you're new. Those of you that I'm already coaching, you can just schedule your next section. And let's work this thing day by day, improve our personal lives, improve the world, and not be afraid to create something new, because people are telling us this is all we have and this is what we need to do. We are free spirits and souls. We're creative. We're designed to be creative. We need to become the creative masters that we are destined to be. Okay, see you soon. Peace and love. Take care.